What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by My Music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name After Sound, and I do have a new song out recently called Don't Forget About Me, the Supernova version, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, we had our May Town Hall, and I got my 5 biggest takeaways from this one on May 15th, 2025. It has been a pretty big week, followed by a couple of pretty big months. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but we did get quite a bit revealed in this town hall, which is pretty exciting. That being said, it sounds as though the team is going to take a collective breather, reassess where and what to focus on for the next 6 months. And Matt did say that he wants to have kind of like a 6-month roadmap for when they get together. Oh, they're going to create a 6-month roadmap when they get together over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll see what that looks like at the June town hall. But, you know, all in all, I got to say, with the amount of delivery and the amount of effort that the team has been putting in, I kind of want them to take, like, the week off next week. I think it's well-deserved. I mean, they've just been firing on all cylinders. And not that, you know, obviously there's still always going to be a lot of work to be done, but I got to tip my hat and say that the last couple of months, last couple of weeks have been really exciting for just, you know, me as a player, me as an investor, right? And I'm going to try and stay away from that term, but just as somebody who enjoys being a part of this ecosystem, being a part of this community. It's been a lot of fun. It's been really exciting. So let's go over the 5 biggest takeaways, and I actually have some bonus stuff as well to jump into at the end. Number 1, they did give their pre-sale reactions, and we've talked about this at length already. If you saw the live stream that happened during the end of the pre-sale, I was even talking about it with Dave there for a bit. But the pre-sale over-delivered expectations. So during that time frame, actually, let's start with the numbers here. $2.4 million, right? 2.4 billion DECR credits, and at PEG, that comes out to $2.4 million. When talking with Dave, he said that his initial thing was he wanted to get about $2 million for the pre-sale, so we crossed that by more than 20%. And then Matt, way back in November, when putting this together, and Conclave Arcana in general, for him, he was saying 1.5, right? He commented in the chat about that during the pre-sale live stream. So, you know, the fact that we are well above that in many ways, I think bodes, you know, it shows. One of the questions that I had is like, where's the team at financially right now, right? And I think that this shows that they're in a good, healthy place. They have a lot that they're trying to focus on and get out for the rest of the year and obviously moving forward. So I'm not worried about that, but I think that this shows that from even their own expectations of what they were trying to get, both Matt's lower expectation and more recently Dave's kind of 2 million. I mean, we're well above that. And there have been pack sales since that time frame, right? Since the general sale began, they're still continuing to get some capital. Now, I don't know how much that is. I don't know how much has been purchased, but hopefully we'll start to get some numbers on that in the short term here. Some other information that I thought was interesting, there were over 1,000 pack buyers, and keep in mind, there might have been a couple of double accounts. I might be overestimating this. I have no idea how many there would be, but it's only the top 250, right? So if somebody was like going to try to go for a leaderboard spot, maybe top 100 was going to be too difficult and they could like split that money up and get 2 top 250 spots. That's the example that I'm trying to give there. Maybe that happened. I can't imagine that happened like a bunch, right? So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But it does play into this idea that we do have around 1,000-ish players, right? I wouldn't be surprised if like the actual amount of real players is anywhere between like 1,000 to 2,000, right? Because some people sat out, maybe some people will participate in a group buy. So that 1,000 number is what really sticks out to me. And actually, I'm going to skip down ahead to one of the bonus items, which is the Android app they announced has over 1,000 downloads. So again, I'm not even one of those. I'm on iOS, so I'm waiting for that to come out. But it just goes to show, right? Like that 1,000 to 2,000 range is what I'm thinking we're at from a player base standpoint. Now, here's the exciting stat. Since the presale, 30% of pack buyers have been new players, which is fascinating to me. Now, again, I don't know what the full context of that is because, like, if there's only been 10 players, 30% is 3, right? Or if there's only been 100 players buying packs, 30% is only 30. But, again, 30% of it showing that there is new blood coming in post pre-sale and buying packs, which again I think is exciting. That's what the numbers that the team shared, but I'd love to get a little bit more context on that as we move forward. So that was the pre-sale. Again, shout out to the team. It's well deserved, and I hope it's able to put them in a good position to knock out even more stuff and take this game to the next level over the next 6, 12, 18 months. Number 2, this is something that I had actually completely forgotten about. I wasn't thinking about it. I know that it was something I was expecting at the end of April, and here we are coming up to the end of May, but Foundation Set and Campaign Mode, both of which are essential for the new player experience and bringing in, before the team wants to get into any kind of marketing, which we'll get into in a second, to onboard new players. It obviously that stuff has been delayed, right? I thought that it was going to come out before Conclave Arcana. It looks as though, I don't know when it's going to come out. My hope is that it'll be sometime in June, but those are things that are still being worked on as we speak. And to a certain extent, I'm okay with this. Here's why, right? They said they wanted to get Conclave Arcana out in May. They delivered on that promise. If the Foundation Set and Campaign Mode was what they had to sacrifice, I'm okay with it, because that meant that other things like survival mode, which somebody might disagree on, right? Survival mode or getting land. And I know Cryptomancer's kind of working on land, but still there's got to be integration and all that. All that stuff happened before Conclave Arcana. And I think that stuff was better, right? I think it added more value overall. The Foundation Set and Campaign Mode, great. We're going to need that. But, this set is going to be in the stores for 10 months. So I'm not too worried about that. I know there are folks that are saying you should have gotten new players in before Conclave Arcana launched so that they could participate in the pre-sale. But I think we would have had to delay the pre-sale significantly because the team is just not ready for that yet. So whether it's the Foundation Set, whether it's Campaign Mode, or even just general crypto sentiment is not quite where you would want it to be to really capitalize on the momentum of the market, right? So that's where we're at with the Foundation Set and Campaign Mode. Again, my hope is that we do get to see that within the next month or two, but that is something that could come in and hopefully shake things up a little bit. This is going to be for new players, so current players, it probably won't matter too much. Number 3, this is a big one. Yaba's Pickle card. So there is going to be a new promo card, and the way that it's going to be given out is going to be fascinating because this will be the first time we do anything like this. It is based on Yabamat's Rooney, who has a pickle. I think it's a 1 of 1 maybe in terms of weapon. And so shout out to Clayboyne for for really pushing this. But we are going to get essentially a promo card that is going to be done similar to how Ruse was done several years ago. And for those who don't remember, there's going to be a couple of requirements, right, to show that you are invested in the game if you want to get these cards. So it's going to be a common rarity, which means it's going to cost you'll have to have 400 BCX in order to max it. 1,000 SPS staked per card purchase. So just to get off the bat, if you want to get 400 copies, you're going to have 400,000 SPS staked, which is not a small amount, but it does show, right, it is rewarding those who have SPS staked. And I think there's just probably going to be a small snapshot that it's going to be available for, right, however long that time frame is. I hope not even a week, right, because then people can people can stake and unstake and whatever and kind of rig the system that way. Now, the cost that they're saying is that it's going to be 150 DEC or credits. So at PEG, that's 15 cents. It's not crazy. It's not the end of the world. In fact, I think it's actually probably well priced. I'd have to check some of the other what's that called? Promo cards from the past, common promo cards. I will do a separate video looking at the stats. It is weapons trainable, and it had actually some decent stats, so we'll have to take a look at it closer. But I was just surprised that there's going to be yet another promo card coming in. But here's the cool part, right? Wait, there's more. So not only are there going to be SPS requirements, I don't know if the DEC is going to be burned or if it's going to be team revenue. I hope it ends up being team revenue if they need it. It just creates more volume for DEC, and especially if credits are coming in, then a lot of that stuff is helpful for the team. But you can use alchemy and midnight potions for gold foil and black foil drop chances. But the arcanes are going to be done differently. So there's going to be a raffle for the gold foil arcanes that's going to be done for a short period of time, and then an auction for the black foil arcanes. And the ways that you can participate in this is going to require land, most likely using the natural resources and aura. So I'm excited about that and how they're going to implement all of that. It sounds as though that could be coming within the next couple of weeks or months here. So that should make for a fun, exciting summer. And for those of you who missed out on the Halloween Louise auction at the end of last year, early this year, this is going to be something similar to that, especially for the black foils. And I think it could get fun, right? Because this is going to add a lot of value to land specifically and the land resources. And that's one of the reasons why I'm still trying to go heavier into land, and I need to start, ramping up my land usage. So that's the exciting stuff that's happening for the Yabba's Pickle card. That was probably like the biggest one for me. That was kind of exciting because I'm just curious to see how that plays out and how they're able to tie more and more of land into the mix. Number 4, I just want to touch on this briefly. The marketing has been scaled back. They did not provide many details, just saying that they realized they could do a lot of marketing efforts on their own. And while they did use Andrew and his company for a few things, I don't know if they're going to be using them in the future or going forward. Hopefully that relationship is still warm, and if there's opportunities to do things in the future, they'll be there. But they're trying to scale things back because they're just trying to be smart with the money that they're spending. I don't blame them. But at the same time, it is a little frustrating. I want to recognize that it is frustrating because for so long we kept hearing, we got marketing dollars. We got the Illuvium guys. They put Illuvium on the map several years ago. Andrew came on and he was fantastic, right? In terms of just hyping everybody up in terms of what we could do. So the fact that we're not doing that anymore is a pivot that's a little difficult to stomach, even if I understand the reason for it, right? I mean, funds are not unlimited, and I want the team to be fiscally responsible, right? And I know that Dave and Matt are looking at this and trying to learn from mistakes in the past. So I can't even blame them for the path that they're going down because they have access to the full numbers, right? They know what the books look like. And so if it doesn't make sense for them to do it, I trust their judgment. That being said, it's just we got super hyped about this a couple of months ago and people kept asking, okay, what's going on with the marketing? What's going on with marketing? Ultimately, though, I'm not as worried about this. And I'll tell you why. It's because for me, this game, just like every other game, is going to either survive or thrive based on the amount of, based on what happens with alt season, right? And if the crypto gaming boom takes off. If it does, I do think Splinterlands is already in a good position, right? We've survived the bear market. There's a lot of hype and enthusiasm. The token, we're burning a lot of stuff. There's a lot of marketing kind of lingo that we can throw out there. There's a very fantastic community on X. I'm going to give a shout out to DJ and Gold Matters and Blaze, right, for really pushing that. And that's where a lot of people will be looking once crypto starts to take off. And so if we do get that alt season, that's going to be something where it's going to be driven from a very grassroots perspective, and it's going to be driven from a massive green candle. Now, do we have that massive green candle for SPS? Not as big as I was hoping it would be from, Conclave Arcana. But the good news is that even with all the DEC that was minted, which was like a couple billion or maybe over $1 billion DEC that was minted for the presale, we are still holding at peg, right? Even though DEC is getting circulated back into the system, people are still buying it, locking it back up into the DAO and burning it through other various means. And we're still seeing SPS get burned slowly and steadily here and there. So I am actually totally okay if we take the slow and steady rise, and then if the market takes off, or if there's another massive demand driving event, we get that big green candle, or if just players come in and take a closer look, somebody comes in and pushes, SPS price up, or a couple people push the SPS price up. I like that, right? Because that to me is much more sustainable than us doing this massive green candle at the wrong time, right? Before the market really takes off and then coming back down. So why am I saying all that? Because to bring it back to marketing, if the team decides that, hey, okay, now's the time, right? Everybody's looking for games. The gaming sector and crypto and alt season are up, and everybody's starting to get a little, not frothy, but it's the momentum is starting to build. That's when I'm hoping that they can go back to, someone like Andrew and say hey, let's run a campaign now, right? We're seeing that we've gotten, 1,000 new players in the past month. We know that people are looking for this stuff. Let's go reach 100,000 and see how many more we can bring in. That's what I'd love for them to do, and I think that will, naturally happen if all of the stars align accordingly. Okay, number 5, and shout out to Dave. Someone had asked a question. What is your goal, or what would you like to see in the game added in, right? In terms of what the team is working on over the next 6 months or before the end of the year, is what the question stated. Because the team is going to go to the drawing board, I think, in the next couple of weeks, list out everything that they want to add in, and then see what they have the bandwidth to do, what's possible, what's not, how much work it's going to require. So Matt did a little roundtable and got answers from everybody. And when it came to Dave said he wants to do whatever whatever it takes to get 2,000 players per game 2,000 players coming into the game every single month consistently. Now, here's the thing. This is a double-edged sword, right? Because, and I'm going to give Dave the benefit of the doubt because I like Dave. I actually trust in Dave's ability, but I'll give you the negative of this first. When I hear something like that, right, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get 2,000 players per month. There's no focus, right? The focus is on the end goal rather than creating something. And you can even make an argument that it's just like, well, you got to be able to pivot, right? You got to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I think the team is actually in a very nimble place now where they can do those pivots. But the lack of a focus on something specific can be concerning. Like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on that because I do know that Dave, and after having spoken with Dave, I know that he's weighing a bunch of different options. He's looking at this, doing the cost-benefit analysis, and seeing what is going to be that I actually have a lot of confidence that he can get to that level. But here's the beautiful part, right? We just talked about the fact that there's maybe 100 or 1,000 to 2,000 players in this game. He's wanting to get 2,000 players per month, right? 2,000 players per month. If he gets 5% of that, if he gets 100 players per month, right? And we start just increasing by 100 players per month. I mean, over the course of the year, we double our player base. And our player base just spent $2.4 million on a presale and is continuing to spend more money. So can you imagine what this game looks like with just double the amount of players, right? Because sure, not every player that comes in is going to be Vuctus, but maybe you got one Vuctus, right? Maybe you got one Brave Tofu, and then you got a bunch of other folks like me or like Tails or like, folks lower on the spending totem pole, right? That just like to participate in the game and have fun, or maybe go into land or whatever the case is. So that kind of distribution makes sense. And I think that we can get that over another 1,000 players that come into the game, over another 2,000, 10,000, whatever it ends up being. So I like Dave's ambition here. I actually trust in his ability to be able to go through and get this done. And I trust in his management style to make sure that the team isn't just going to be like saying like, oh my God, let's just try anything and see what sticks and like what's going to bring in players. I have a lot of confidence now, actually, with Dave kind of operating and Matt focused on the product design and making sure all the numbers make sense. Like that is a lot more important than I think people realize. Not only is it, I mean, I'm happy for Matt just like on a personal level that he's able to like, not have to do the things that he doesn't want to do, but we do need somebody who's like looking at this stuff at a higher level, making sure it all connects and making sure that the numbers make sense so that we don't get into the situation where, stuff is getting overprinted or underprinted and there's exploits and all this yada, 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 right? So ultimately, I'm very excited about like the future of the game and, Dave wanting to bring in 2,000 players per month. I think is a fantastic goal because again, even if we only hit 5% of that, we're going to be pretty good. We're going to be in a really good spot. All right, so those are the 5 takeaways. The quick bonus items I'll just mention. It looks like there are changes coming to the training and challenge modes. They want to treat these as game modes, so they'll be on that top bar where you see, modern, wild, survival, and then it'll be training and challenge. And while they don't have any ideas yet, it sounds like Nate was trying to crowdsource ideas for how can they add more value to these so that people treat them as more like game modes and it's not just something that's on the side. So look out for that coming soon, and we'll see if they're able to add more cool things in there. As I mentioned earlier, the Android app has over 1,000 downloads. I think Matt gave away the name of what the revival potions are going to be, just like we have midnight potions for black foils. He mentioned Phoenix Ash as potentially the potion, so that would be what we have for revival coming for survival mode whenever that does come back online. One quick note about that: somebody had asked, like, is there going to be another what's that called, like work site and another resource? And I think Matt said that they're just going to use Aura for right now as kind of like the de facto thing to use, just because they don't want to add in a bunch of new resources. They want to work towards what the vision of 2.0 is. And right now, this is already a little bit of a pivot. This is already a little bit of a tangent with Midnight Potions. I mean, I think it's a good one, right? And I want them to have that flexibility, but we don't want it where Cryptomancer, like every month, every 2 months is like, oh, hey, this is a cool idea, add it in. Oh, this is a cool idea. Like, we're never going to get 2.0 if that's the case. So hopefully what they're going to do from a land standpoint is like, let's break it out into chunks of like, how do we get to 2.0 by 2026 or 2027? And what are the steps that we do to make it so that it's fun and exciting and we can add new gameplay every 6 weeks, every 2 months. And if we do need to do little pivots here and there, it makes sense and we can do it. So that is that. And then lastly, Matt said one thing he really wants to see in the future are player run auctions at some point. So that would be, especially with all of these like very, high scarcity cards, right? So the one of ones, the arcanes, the black foils. If you don't know how to value them, putting them on the marketplace, you might undercut yourself, right? So the idea is he wants to create it where you can run an auction. So it's not just, the team running auctions. You can go and run an auction for a card. Now, that being said, I think an easier way to do this is just to have what Peak Monsters already has, which is a bid system, right? So sure, there's only a one of one card, but that card is like already in the system, already in the blockchain. Allow people to make bids for it, right? And allow them to make a bid where there's no sell price. So if people just go in and they say, okay, I'm going to make a bid and we'll see what happens. And maybe the bid lasts for, I don't know, a week or a day or something. And that person who has that one of one card, or anybody who has that one of five cards or whatever, they get a notification that like, hey, somebody bid this much amount. Do you want to sell it at that? I think that would create something. I think that would be a little bit easier rather than doing an auction, because then like if you're running an auction, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like something else that could make more sense. But I'm getting away from the point of the video here. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Again, it was a fun town hall. It makes me really happy to see the team in good spirits. And again, shout out to them for the success that they had in this pre-sale. And I am very much looking forward to this Conclave Arcana era. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.